huge weekend series in Philadelphia. They needed extra innings last night.
Proctor's pitch. Swung on and belted deep to right. Forget about it. A bullet. It's gone and the game is over. Raul Ibanez with his 11th home run of the season. It's his 6th career walk-off home run. 3-2 Phillies win.
Raul Ibanez with the walk-off for the Phillies as the clock struck midnight last night. Who will the hero be today? It's the second of a 3-game weekend series between the first place Phillies and the second place Atlanta Braves on Fox. And a good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Fox Saturday Baseball. Kenny Albert along with Eric Karros. These teams have dominated the National League East, winning the division 15 of the last 16 years. And Eric, they are neck and neck once again this season.
Well, they really are. Since June 1st, the top 2 records in the National League. And in all of baseball, the top 2 ERAs. They're very similar teams, built on pitching. The bullpens right now anchored by young players. You know, in fact, so similar, in their last 4 games, 5 runs separated the two.
3-2 Phillies last night. Tremendous pitching matchup today. Cliff Lee for the Phils, Tommy Hansen for the Braves. The All-Star game coming up Tuesday night on Fox. These rosters full of All-Stars. It's the Phillies and the Braves who look for revenge today. It's coming up next right here on Fox. From the Phillies and the Braves. Braves with a record of 53-37, second place in the National League East. The Atlanta batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Jordan Schaefer leads off, followed by Alex Gonzalez. Brian McCann will hit third. Freddie Freeman in the cleanup spot. Then second baseman Dan Uggla, right fielder Jason Hayward, third baseman Julio Lugo as the Braves placed Chipper Jones on the disabled list earlier today. The left fielder Nate McLouth bats eighth, and then Tommy Hansen as the Braves get set to face 32-year-old left-hander Cliff Lee for the third time this season.
Well, it's the third time, and remember, the first 2 times the Atlanta Braves were able to get Cliff Lee. Now, how are you going to get him? Well,
I don't know how you're going to get him, but Cliff Lee needs to keep the top of that Atlanta Brave lineup off of the base paths. They were 0 for 8 last night. And look, he knows he's got to break the streak. He's got to go out and beat this Atlanta Brave ball club.
Lee does have a 6-start winning streak here at home. The opening pitch brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. So Lee with a record of 9-6 over his first 18 starts, delivers. And Jordan Schaefer leading off for the Braves takes ball 1. Schaefer, Gonzalez, and McCann for Atlanta here in the top of the first inning on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Philadelphia. We mentioned a moment ago, Chipper Jones placed on the DL by the Braves earlier today. Atlanta still without Martin Prado as Lee falls behind 3-0. And 3-1 on Schaefer, batting .236. No hits in his last 7 at bats. A 3-1 to Schaefer, right back to the box, off the glove of Lee. He recovers and then fires the first one away. Defensively for the Phillies in the outfield, Ibanez, Mayberry, and Brown. Howard at first, Uggla at second, Rollins at short, Valdez at third. The battery of Lee and Carlos Ruiz.
Right, and remember, Kenny, this defense is tops in the National League. We always talk about their pitching. Historically, offensively, they've had a lot of power, but defensively, they catch the ball.
Phillies have committed the fewest errors in the National League this season, just 43. With one away, here's Alex Gonzalez, who has terrific lifetime numbers against Lee, 7 of 18 with a home run, as Lee misses high and away, ball 1. Braves' 4-game win streak came to an end last night. Braves have won 9 of their last 11. Best record in the National League since the 1st of June.
When you talk about that, the thing about it, as well as they've played, they've only been able to pick up a half a game. You know, the Braves have been great. The Phillies have been just as good.
Base hit right field past the diving Chase Utley. So Gonzalez now 8 for 19 lifetime against Cliff Lee. A 1-out base runner for the Braves. As we head downstairs to Ken Rosenthal. Ken, you were in communication with Chipper Jones earlier today.
Yes, and Kenny, he was scheduled to undergo arthroscopic surgery on his right knee at 3 p.m. in Atlanta. Now, we exchanged texts, and he had told me that he was thinking about this for a while, but decided to do it today because the Phillies have the 2 lefties going the next 2 days, Cliff Lee and Cole Hamels. Chipper said that his knee has been killing him batting right-handed, so he undergoes the surgery.
Thanks, Ken. Brian McCann heading to the All-Star game on Tuesday. Pops out to the catcher Carlos Ruiz. Chipper Jones was scheduled to head west, voted in by the players to his 7th All-Star game. And Eric Weiss chatted with Braves manager Freddie Gonzalez earlier today, and he was so impressed with how Chipper tried to fight through the injury over the last month.
Well, he was trying to hold out until Martin Prado could come back for the Atlanta Braves. He's probably not expected until after the break, but it just got so great as far as it being a hindrance that he had to get something done. Go get it done now. You've got the All-Star break. That'll give you about a week, and hopefully he'll be back maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that.
Here's Freddie Freeman with 2 away. On the ground to the right side, Utley will apply the tag on Gonzalez, and that will do it for the Braves in the first, with the Phillies coming up. Rollins, Mayberry, and Utley. Philadelphia Phillies with a record of 56 and 33, first place in the National League East. Their batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Shortstop Jimmy Rollins leads off, followed by the center fielder John Mayberry Jr. and second baseman Chase Uggla. Ryan Howard in the cleanup spot. Last night's hero Raul Ibanez hits fifth. Then catcher Carlos Ruiz, right fielder Dominic Brown, third baseman Wilson Valdez, and pitcher Cliff Lee as the Phillies get set to face 24-year-old right-hander Tommy Hansen, who has won his last 5 starts.
And 2 starts since coming off the disabled list. Pitched very well. And if ever there was a case of a guy getting snubbed, he's one as far as making the All-Star game. He's got to stretch it out today. Give this Atlanta Brave ball club innings. Save that bullpen a bit. Keep the ball in the park. Make the Phillies get 3 or 4 hits in a row to manufacture a run. Last night, 2 runs on 2 swings of the bat. Home runs.
So Hansen getting set to face Rollins, Mayberry, and Utley here in the bottom of the first inning. Opponents batting just 192 against Tommy Hansen this season. That is the best in all of baseball as far as opponent batting average against a pitcher. So here's Jimmy Rollins, 2 hits last night, batting .266. And while the Braves are without Martin Prado and Chipper Jones, Phillies placed Shane Victorino on the disabled list yesterday. And Placido Polanco scheduled to start at third base for the National League in the All-Star game on Tuesday. Not in the lineup today, not expected to start tomorrow either, as Rollins pops out to Gonzalez at short. And for more on Polanco, we head back downstairs to Ken.
With Charlie Manuel about Polanco. He had met with Polanco about 2 hours before today's game, and Charlie told me that more than likely Polanco will not start tomorrow, and that means that more than likely he will not go to the All-Star game. The next guy, the next third baseman on the National League list, the Reds' Scott Rowland.
The former Philly.
You know what's funny about that? We say Scott Rowland. Why not Aramis Ramirez? More home runs, more RBIs, most hits of any third baseman. I don't get that. I do not understand that one. Got to go to a higher power to find out what's going on there, Kenny.
Nothing in 1 on John Mayberry Jr. 0 for 4 in last night's game. Center field, Schaefer, 2 out. Defensively for the Braves today, McLeod in left, Schaefer in center, Hayward in right. Around the infield, Freeman, Uggla, Gonzalez, and Julio Lugo starting at third with the battery of Hansen and Brian McCann. When we visited with Charlie Manuel and asked him about the Polanco scenario, if he does not play over the weekend, would he head to Phoenix for the All-Star game? And Charlie said it's such an honor. If I were voted into an All-Star game, I would go even if I had a broken leg.
Well, it's one thing to have a broken leg. It's another thing, though, if you've got back issues, and if you're anybody that's ever had them, you'd understand. I mean, you almost become immobile, and that's something that's as frustrating as anything. And because this game is so rotational, I get it as far as Polanco having to take care of himself.
And you're also talking about 2 5-hour plane rides. Utley takes strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 outs. Bottom of the first inning. Charlie Manuel last night winning his 600th game as manager of the Phillies. Third Phil Skipper to reach that mark. He is 45 wins away from tying Gene Mauch's franchise record of 645 victories. Harry Wright is next with 636. So congratulations to Charlie Manuel. 600 wins as Phillies manager. A 1-2 from Hansen. Freeman with the flip. Hansen covering. An 8-pitch 1-2-3 bottom of the first for Tommy Hansen.
Hey.
AT&T is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And by DirecTV. Now NFL Sunday Ticket is included at no extra charge. Aerial coverage this afternoon provided by DirecTV. To get the best offer of the year, call 1-800-DirecTV. We move to the second inning here in Philadelphia with no score. As Dan Uggla gets set to lead off in front of the 171st consecutive sellout crowd in this ballpark. Uggla, Hayward, and Lugo for the Braves here in the second against Cliff Lee, who lost his last start Sunday in Toronto. He allowed 3 home runs in 1 inning. 3 home runs in the 8th inning, but prior to that, Lee's month of June, you could put it right up there with the greatest months for a pitcher in baseball history.
They absolutely dominated the month. 3 consecutive complete game, I believe, shutouts. I mean, just came out and was on a roll. But you know what's interesting about even Cliff Lee's career? He's had some stretches or some games where, you know, as dominant as he can be, he also can give it up.
Lee allowed 1 earned run in 42 innings during the month of June. First Philly with 3 consecutive shutouts since Robin Roberts, the late Robin Roberts, back in 1950. Only 7 runners were in scoring position against Lee during those 5 starts in June. Strike 2 to Uggla, full count.
Well, much like he did the leadoff hitter in the first inning, Jordan Schaefer, where he threw 3 straight balls, came back with 2 strikes.
Uggla batting just .120 against lefties this season, and he is strikeout victim number 1 of Cliff Lee today. Time now for our forward keys to the game.
Well, if you're the Atlanta Braves, when you get an opportunity, you better take advantage of it. Last night they had some chances to get more than 1 run off Roy Halladay. They weren't able to do so. The Phillies, if you get on base, don't be afraid to run. Brian McCann has had his struggles throwing out only 17 of 77 runners. And Eric Hansen, Tommy Hansen, it'd be worse if it was Eric. He's only been able to hold 8% of the guys, catch 8% of the guys that have run. So Eric Hansen could probably steal a base today.
Former teammate of yours, right?
He wasn't, but we'll go with it.
On the ground to the shortstop off the bat of Jason Hayward. 2 out. All-Star game coming up this Tuesday on Fox. Ken Rosenthal will be there.
Well, Eric raised the question of why not Aramis Ramirez to replace Chipper Jones. And the reason it would be Scott Rowland, guys, and not Aramis is because Scott Rowland finished behind Chipper Jones in the player voting. He's the next one in line. Chipper was a player selection. Rowland would be next.
And Ken Chipper said he was shocked when Freddie Gonzalez informed him that he won the player vote. He thought there might be a hidden camera in the manager's office.
Well, you know what, though? I think this is where you get into if this game means something and you're Bruce Bochy, you should be able to select, or I know if I was managing, I would say I would pick the guy that I would feel would best help me win that game. I mean, the Giants be in the postseason again probably this year. I thought that was a huge difference, them having home field advantage last year. And the San Francisco fans were like another player.
Giants had home field advantage in the World Series thanks in large part to Atlanta Braves catcher Brian McCann.
Absolutely.
Nothing in 2 on Julio Lugo, playing in his 6th game with the Braves. Recalled from AAA on June 21st. No 2 from Lee. Lugo down on strikes. Second strikeout of the inning for Cliff Lee. Middle of the second, still scoreless. by AT&T and sponsored by Select 55. The superior taste makes it Select. The 55 calories makes it the lightest beer in the world. Back in Philadelphia, Kenny Albert, Eric Karros, Ken Rosenthal. Braves and Phillies are scoreless as Ryan Howard steps in to lead off against Tommy Hansen. Howard, 36 career home runs against the Braves, more than any other active player. He's hit 18 this season, 7th in the National League, second behind Prince Fielder with 71 runs batted in. Middle of the order, Howard, Ibanez, and Ruiz for the Phillies here in the second. Hansen missing high, 2-0.
You look at that, 18 home runs versus 0. Righties versus lefties there.
Hansen catching the outside corner, now 2-1.
You know, really, he is the only power threat, the consistent power threat. Not that there aren't guys that can't hit home runs in this Philly lineup. I remember over the last couple of years, you had the Jason Worth, you had the healthy Chase Utley.
Freeman to the bag himself, one away.
You know, right now, Ryan Howard is really the only true power threat. I think teams will notice that and pitch him respectively.
Howard grounds out on his first at bat today against Tommy Hansen, who certainly has an argument as far as the All-Star game is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, really, forget argument. He's just got a case. The bottom line is he should be in that All-Star game. He's pitched well enough to warrant that. Bruce Bochy deciding to take 3 of his players, which is his right.
Ken Rosenthal, I know you spoke with a couple of Hansen's teammates about the progress he has made this season.
2 Braves pitchers were player selections, Jair Jurgens and Johnny Venters. There were 5 starting pitchers picked by the players ahead of Hansen: Jurgens, Clayton Kershaw, and the Phillies' big 3. Then Bruce Bochy took the 3 Giants, Lincecum, Kane, and Vogelsong. But here's the good news. Kane is scheduled to pitch tomorrow night. He'll be ineligible for the All-Star game, and that is the perfect spot for Bruce Bochy to correct this wrong and put Hansen in the game.
Of course, pitchers who start tomorrow
Why wouldn't you just
are not eligible.
Right, on Sunday. Why wouldn't you just go to the next player's choice in a pitcher? I mean, really, that's why wouldn't you go to player number 6? I mean, they do that if we're doing that with the other situation.
With the position players.
With the position players. Yeah. Want an investigation in all of this.
Now the 2-2 to Ibanez. And the count is full.
Now, Eric, there are player selections and there are manager selections.
Oh, no.
Those 3 Giants were manager selections, and that's why Bochy, once Kane is ineligible, can make his own selection and pick Tommy Hansen.
I feel better. Thanks, Kenny.
Charlie Manuel certainly knows about the rules and regulations when it comes to the All-Star game. He's managed the National League squad the last 2 years.
Well, and interesting because, you know, he took some heat, some of the guys that he selected last year. But he told me that he put his team together to win the game, because he looked back at 2009 and he thought the Yankees having home field advantage was the difference as far as being a World Series winner.
Left center off the bat of Ibanez, and the catch is made by the center fielder Schaefer. Now 2 away. Well, it's coming up on Tuesday from Phoenix. Baseball's biggest stars will gather in the Arizona desert for one spectacular night. It's the 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday live from Phoenix at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Fox. And don't forget, you can catch a special world premiere sneak preview of the upcoming Fox show, The X Factor, during the broadcast on Tuesday night. There's Roy Halladay, last night's Phillies starter. Certainly in the discussion as far as who will start for the National League on Tuesday night.
Well,
Jair Jurgens leads the league with 12 wins.
Yeah, you know, Halladay had made some mention, though, that he didn't want to throw 2 innings. And one of the rules, the starting pitchers go 2 innings.
There are those rules again.
Darn rules.
And Halladay did start for the American League back in 2009. Will it be Halladay? Will it be Jurgens? We will chat with Jurgens in a little while. Get his thoughts. Long run for the right fielder Hayward. Now that fan will keep the baseball, unlike Christian Lopez at Yankee Stadium earlier today, 23-year-old Yankee fan who caught the home run ball, hit number 3,000 off the bat of Derek Jeter, and admirably did not ask for money, did not ask for anything, and was rewarded with 4 sweet tickets to every Yankees home game for the remainder of this season and the postseason, as Ruiz singles into left center. First Phillies base hit of the game. What would you have done, Eric? Would you have asked for money?
Man, that's a tough one. If I were in that young man's situation, I might have. I'm not sure those sweet seats will pay the rent. But as you mentioned, very admirable, because in this day and age, the predictable thing to do would be to hold that sucker for ransom.
Hit number 3,000, the second of 5 hits for Derek Jeter today, matching his career high in one game. And he became only the second player to hit a home run for career hit number 3,000. Strike 1 to Dominic Brown. And Eric, you called it. We were standing together watching that Jeter at bat. And I'll have to admit, about 20 seconds before the pitch, you said, watch him hit a home run here.
Yeah, well, I was thinking somebody was going to get rich out there. So I was partly right. Didn't know that you hit it to the one guy that was going to turn the ball in and not hold the thing for ransom.
Rich, no. Famous, yes.
Famous, yes, yes.
Wade Boggs, a former teammate of Derek Jeter. They won a World Series together in '96. The only other player among the 28 who have reached the 3,000 mark who did it with a home run. And for Jeter, it was his first home run at home since last July.
Yeah, that was amazing. It really was. But that's the one thing about Derek Jeter. You can never underestimate what he's capable of doing.
The 0-2 to Brown. First strikeout for Tommy Hansen. We move to the third as Cliff Lee gets back to work after these messages from your local Fox station. Back to Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by AT&T. Rethink possible. Top of the third inning in Philadelphia. Braves and Phillies are scoreless. Phillies won last night's game 3-2 on a walk-off home run at the bottom of the 10th inning off the bat of Raul Ibanez. Here's Nate McLouth leading off for the Braves, their number 8 hitter. Batting .231, tripled in last night's game. If you joined us late, Braves placing Chipper Jones on the disabled list earlier today. They hope to get Martin Prado back on Friday following the All-Star break.
And they get him back. He goes to third base, and you still keep the outfield of Schaefer and Hayward and McLouth. You know, and everybody talks about the batting average with Nate. Obviously not where he wants it to be at .231. On base percentage, though, at .350. So he's doing a nice job.
Does not reach base this time. Strikeout number 3 for Cliff Lee. We spoke between innings with Phillies pitching coach Rich Doobie and asked Rich about working with this starting rotation, which includes 3 All-Stars.
Well, it's a special group. I mean, they're not only good pitchers, but they're quality people, and they put a lot into this game. They're tremendous preparers.
Hey, Rich, everybody focuses on the starters, but I think you've done a wonderful job. Bastardo and talk a little bit about their development this year.
Well, Antonio has been up here a couple times and wasn't able to stay healthy. He's much more focused now. He's much more aware of having a solid program, so he's been fabulous. And Michael Stutz came up, and you know, he's got good stuff, and he's got great determination and great competitiveness, so that makes him a valuable piece for us.
When do you expect to get Lidge and Mazda back?
I don't know. I saw Lidge pitch the other day in Lakewood and threw the ball pretty well. He's still got some outings to go, but he's coming along, and Madsen will hopefully pitch during the All-Star break in a minor league game or 2, and hopefully get him back not long after that.
Thanks very much, Rich.
All right, thanks, guys.
Phillies without 4 key pitchers, Ryan Madsen, Brad Lidge, as well as starters Joe Blanton and Roy Oswalt.
They still keep moving along, and that's how deep they are. Talk about Bastardo and Stutz and what they've been able to do, come up and do extremely well. I mean, look at the starting rotation right there. Top at just about everything. Strikeouts and complete games. And what that does for your bullpen, it gives them rest. You don't have to run them out there every single game.
Hansen grounds out to Ryan Howard at first. Now 2 away. It's Cole Hamels, 3rd in the league in earned run average. Roy Halladay started last night. Phillies have now won each of his last 10 starts. We told you about Cliff Lee's success during the month of June. And how about Vance Worley? He was outstanding, but sent back down to AAA with the promise that he will return soon as well.
Yeah, send him down. They needed to bring up an outfielder because Victorino, they weren't sure what they were going to do with him. Plus, you allow him to pitch over the All-Star break, stay on his regular rotation.
Here's Jordan Schaefer, who bounced back to Lee his first time up. You mentioned Victorino, who was placed on the disabled list yesterday, but he is still planning to go to the All-Star game and represent the Phillies organization. He won the final vote for the 2nd time. Voted in over the internet this week. Paul Konerko won the final vote in the American League. One and one on Schaefer, 2 outs, top of the 3rd inning. Jimmy Rollins. A 1-2-3 third for Cliff Lee. Still no score. Philadelphia. Phillies and Braves are scoreless as Wilson Valdez will lead off against Tommy Hansen. And we are joined live from the Braves dugout by the sensational young right-hander Jair Jurgens. There he is, who leads the National League with 12 wins, tied with CC Sabathia for the Major League lead. Second in all of baseball in earned run average, just percentage points behind Jared Weaver of the Angels as Valdez takes a called strike, 0-1. How excited, Jair, are you about your first All-Star selection?
It's a dream come true. You know, I think everybody who play in the big leagues want to be a part of an All-Star game, and my goal, my wish just came true, and I'm excited for Tuesday.
Has anybody lobbied National League manager Bruce Bochy on your behalf as far as starting for the National League on Tuesday night?
I know I was keeping trying to get me that start, and I'm really happy that I'm considered to be one of the guys who get the start for the All-Star game. But I'm just happy to be in it and be around all the superstars in the league.
What would it mean for you to start, though?
Oh, it will be a privilege and an honor to have the chance to help the National League have the homestand in the playoffs and the World Series, and it will be an honor to just go out there and represent the Atlanta Braves organization.
We're taking a look now, Jair, at some highlights from your season so far. And you grew up in Curacao, and of course, the former Brave Andrew Jones represented the Braves in 5 All-Star games from Curacao as well. What does it mean to you? How proud are you to follow in his footsteps?
You know, he opened a lot of doors for all the young kids, and for me from Curacao. You know, he was the first superstar we ever had in baseball, professional baseball, and from there, a lot of kids wanted to be a professional baseball player and wanted to be in the same like Andrew. And I can say I wanted to be just like him, be a superstar, and try to represent our small line the best we can.
Were you always a pitcher, or did you play any other positions as a kid? Or
I used to be an infielder, and just one day I asked my manager to pitch, and the scout who came to watch me came to me after the game, told my dad, just forget about being an infielder and be a pitcher. Nice swing.
Well, Cliff Lee has 8 hits this year, Jair.
I know, he's better than me.
Now, due to the success that Andrew Jones had as a youngster back in the mid-90s, were all young baseball fans in Curacao Atlanta Braves fans?
Oh, yeah, the whole island. When he came up and hit the 2 home runs in New York, every home run he hit, he had fireworks going on. The whole island was so quiet. Everybody was home and watching the games. You know, he did really good, a lot of positive things for the island, and a lot of young kids came from watching Andrew, and that's when we started going to the Little League World Series. He really, how I gotta say it, put baseball on the map in Curacao.
And he paved the way for you and many others. 2-2 on Cliff Lee with 1 out. Bottom of the 3rd inning. We chat with 12-game winner Jair Jurgens.
Jair, what do you attribute your success to this year? I mean, why the dominance?
It just, I don't know. I think I'm being healthy again, and just trying to go out there and make my pitches. And I'm not throwing so hard like I used to do anymore. I'm just trying to make my pitch and pitch for contact, and it's been working so far.
What have you learned from guys such as Derek Lowe and Tim Hudson, veterans on your staff?
You know, the work ethic they have during every start, and then preparing themselves to go out there every 5 days and grind it out the whole season. And you know, I try to pick some stuff from their workout and try to put it in mine, and try to have the same career they have.
And how about the success Tommy Hansen's had this year?
You know, he's one of the big guys in our rotation. That's why we in the top in second place right now. He's really came back from the shoulder injury and really picked it up, and he's throwing the ball really good.
Here's the 2-2 to Cliff Lee, 8th pitch of the at bat.
Wow.
Hansen missing away, full count. So how many tickets do you have to get for the game on Tuesday night? The phone ringing off the hook from friends and family members?
No, only 4 coming.
That's it?
Yes, my family coming from back home. It's going to be amazing. You know, the first one you always need to share with your family, you know. Wow.
What would you do right here? Would you throw him another fastball, or even with the pitcher up, you go with the off speed? What would you do?
You know, you don't want to walk him. You know, you just want to make sure if you're gonna get on base, he hit his way on.
This will be pitch number 10 from Hansen to Cliff Lee.
Oh no, no! Are you kidding me? Wow.
First career home run for Cliff Lee and an all-star play-by-play call from Jair Jurgens.
Wow.
I tell you, that's a heck of an at-bat. They're fouling off a number of pitches. This pitch high up in the zone, you don't think that he'd be able to catch up to that. But I think he probably was in swing mode prior to the pitch. I mean, look I'm swinging my way down to first base. He's probably not going to throw a ball.
The reaction from Cliff's teammates. You saw the curtain call a moment ago as Cliff Lee takes Tommy Hansen deep for a 1-0 Phillies lead. And now Jimmy Rollins flies out to Jason Hayward on the warning track in right field. What a battle that was, Jair.
You know, like I said, you don't want him to walk. You want him to hit his way on, but I didn't think he's going to go deep on that pitch.
So I'm guessing maybe the off-speed pitch.
It would be a better pitch on. Wow, good at bat. Really good at bat.
You saw Tim Hudson go deep recently.
Yeah, it was not funny. It's we had some bat going on in the starting rotation, and he just went a bat on that home run. And yeah, he's a good hitter. You know, he played center field in college. He was a good hitter in college, and we know he had a chance to go deep this year.
Here's the view from the blimp as Cliff Lee goes deep, his first major league home run. Now the 1-0 to John Mayberry Jr., who flies to center his first time up. Bottom of the third here in Philadelphia, with the Phillies leading 1-0. Bounce to the third baseman, Lugo. Jair Jurgens, we appreciate you spending a half inning with us. Best of luck in the All-Star game on Tuesday.
Thank you, guys.
Jair called it. Cliff Lee to deep right field. 1-0 Phillies. TNT is sponsored by Ford. Drive one. And by Geico. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. Back in Philadelphia, Phillies with a 1-0 lead thanks to Cliff Lee. Final pitch of a 10-pitch at bat. He takes Tommy Hansen deep, his first career home run. First home run by a Phillies pitcher since Chan Ho Park back in April of 2009. And now on the first pitch from Lee in the top of the fourth, Alex Gonzalez grounds out to the shortstop, Jimmy Rollins.
Well, the thing amazing about that at-bat, he just continued to foul pitches off and off. And even that pitch that he hit was probably ball four, a high fastball. Well, Cliff Lee, one of the reasons he wanted to come to the National League, wanted to be able to hit.
He's been using Chase Utley's bat. And he commented last week, I feel like more of a baseball player in the National League because I get to hit as well. McCann fouled out his first time up. Fouls this one off to the left side. 0-2. The 2010 All-Star Game. 7th inning. Brian McCann with a 3-run double off Matt Thornton. The first 3-run double in All-Star history. McCann named the game's most valuable player. First All-Star win by the National League since 1996 right here in Philadelphia. And McCann is called out on strikes. Strikeout number 4 for Cliff Lee.
I'm sorry, that is just sick right there. As a hitter, there is not a thing you can do about it. You just got a fastball in on the hands, and then you get the curveball low and away. I mean, really, you're walking back to the dugout just going, oh, God, I hope I don't have to see this guy again. I mean, that's not even fun. Why even take a bat up there?
Well, Ken Rosenthal, Cliff Lee took a bat up there, and he went deep.
Well, it's just as Eric was saying. One of the reasons he came back was the National League, the ability to hit, and another reason was the crowd. And during that at bat, guys, you could hear this crowd getting more and more excited. It's amazing, Eric, when you were a player, Philadelphia was not a very desirable place to play. Now it might be the most desirable.
Well, I think you're right about that, Kenny, about talking about being it more desirable, but a lot of it has to do with the new stadium. I mean, I think when the Phillies moved here, changed the whole perception of playing baseball in Philadelphia.
Absolutely. 1-2 on Freeman. He saw 10 pitches during his last at bat. He's thrown only 7 this inning and is 1 strike away from another 1-2-3.
I wonder if he still thinks it's June.
An 8-pitch, top of the 4th. Run of this game so far, bottom of the fourth inning, with Chase Utley stepping in to lead off against Tommy Hansen. Utley grounded out to the first baseman Freeman back in the first inning. Utley represented the Phillies in each of the last 5 All-Star games, but will not be going this year. Missed the first 46 games this season. 5 Phillies named to the All-Star team. The 3 starting pitchers, Halladay, Lee, and Hamels, along with Victorino, who's on the disabled list and will be replaced by Andre Ethier, as well as Placido Polanco. We talked about his situation earlier, not on the DL, but not in the lineup today, not expected to play tomorrow due to the pinched nerve in his back. The 0-2 to Utley. And for the second time today, he grounds out to the first baseman, Freddie Freeman. Time now for a DirecTV game break. We take it to Yankee Stadium earlier this afternoon. Tied at 4, bottom of the 8th inning. 5th hit of the day for Derek Jeter. Driving in the go-ahead run. Yankees defeat the Rays 5-4. Jeter with career hits number 2,999, 3,000, 3,001, 3,002, and 3003. Get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Here's Ryan Howard, who grounded out to Freeman his first time up. Jeter, 37 years of age, becomes the 4th youngest player to reach 3,000 hits, joining Ty Cobb, the youngest, Henry Aaron, and Robin Yount. Line drive caught by the second baseman, or excuse me, by the shortstop Gonzalez, with the Braves employing the shift. Derek Jeter spoke with Kim Jones of the Yes Network following his big day.
You know, I've been lying to you guys this whole time. I had a lot of pressure on me these few days here in New York. I never thought, you know, it was possible. I wasn't trying to do it. I just try to come out here, play hard every day, and if you do that, I guess good things happen.
What does this sound like right now?
It's a lot of fun.
So Derek Jeter, the 28th member of the 3,000 hit club, as Raul Ibanez takes ball 1. He's the Yankees' all-time leader in hits. Wade Boggs, joined by Derek Jeter, is the only 2 players in baseball history to hit a home run for career hit number 3,000. And for more, we head downstairs to Kent.
Well, guys, it will be real interesting to see if today propels Derek Jeter to a big second half. It was a stunning contrast to the rest of his season. He hadn't been hitting the ball hard, hadn't been getting many extra base hits.
All right, Kenny Ibanez tagged out by Freeman on the wide throw from Lugo. 4 innings in the books. 1-0 Phils. With the Phillies leading the Braves 1-0. Only one hit for Atlanta. A one-out single off the bat of Alex Gonzalez back in the first inning. Since then, Cliff Lee has retired 11 in a row. Uggla, first pitch of the inning. Deep left field, and this one is out of here. We are tied at 1. So Dan Uggla, who has struggled this season batting under 200, now leads the Braves with 15 home runs.
Well, he has run into quite a few, and the power hasn't dissipated at all. Just hasn't been as consistent as he would like to be. Not only has he struggled this year, but he's struggled mightily against left-handed pitching. And one of the things the Braves are where they're at right now without the real contributions of Dan Uggla. And they feel, look, we get him going, holy cow.
His third home run the last 5 games. His third home run this season off a left-handed pitcher. Remember, Lee allowed those 3 home runs in the 8th inning in his last start. Prior to that, he had not allowed a home run his previous 5 starts.
Well, he's the type of guy that will be susceptible, though, to giving up a home run because he throws so many strikes. I mean, he's just going to run into a bat by law of averages.
Bounce to the right side. Charging is Utley. And Hayward is retired for out number 1. Well, Monday night, ESPN will have coverage of the All-Star Home Run Derby from Phoenix. And then on Tuesday, MLB Network will carry the All-Star Red Carpet Show. Check local listings. And then on Tuesday night, catch the Midsummer Classic on Fox. We will have 21 high-def cameras on hand, 80 field and crowd effects mics. Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal, Chris Rose, Eric Karros, Mark Grace on hand. For Tim, his record 20th All-Star game as a broadcaster.
That really is amazing. Does a great job.
Number 13 for Joe and Tim as a team. 1 ball, 1 strike on Julio Lugo. Struck out his first time up. The home run by Uggla, only the second ball hit out of the infield against Lee today. The Gonzalez single back in the first inning. And then the Uggla home run. Lugo starting at third base for the injured Chipper Jones, who was placed on the 15-day disabled list earlier today due to a right knee medial meniscus tear. Lugo draws a 1-out walk. This Tuesday, don't miss the world premiere preview of the X Factor. Simon Cowell is back with television's next big event, and you can only catch it during the All-Star game this Tuesday right here on Fox. There's Nate McLouth, an All-Star back in 2008. Fastball missing high, ball 1. Lugo on at first. Uggla with a leadoff home run. Hayward grounded out. And then the walk to Lugo. Phillies and Braves tied at 1. Top of the 5th inning here in Philadelphia. Fastball, 1-1. Brave skipper Freddie Gonzalez has done an outstanding job. His club 3.5 games behind the first place Phillies, and they lead the National League wild card race by 4 games.
Yeah, he really has done a nice job stepping in, following future Hall of Famer Bobby Cox. Great personality, good in the clubhouse, knows the game as well as anybody.
Bobby Cox spent the last 21 years in the Braves dugout. Still a major part of the organization. His number 6 will be retired next month. Braves looking to get back to the postseason. Lost to San Francisco 3-1 in the National League Division Series last October. Giants then beat the Phillies in the NLCS. Valdez fires across. Lugo back in. So McClough flies out to the Phillies' third baseman, and now with 2 away, pitcher Tommy Hansen. Cliff Lee took Hansen deep in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Now the roles are reversed. Hansen gets the bat on it on the first pitch. Flies out to the center fielder, Mayberry. So Lugo is stranded, but the Braves tie the game on Dan Uggla's team-leading 15th home run of the season. Sponsored by AT&T. Rethink possible. Phillies and Braves tied at 1 here in Philadelphia. Aerial coverage provided by DirecTV. To get the best offer of the year, call 1-800-DirecTV. With this pitching matchup, about what we expected, 1-1 in the 5th.
Well, it really is, and there haven't been any offensive threats at all. 1 pitch here, Cliff Lee goes deep. 1 pitch there, Dan Uggla goes deep. That's the extent of the scoring. The pitching's been great so far.
A 3-2 Phillies win last night. 2 home runs in last night's game. Carlos Ruiz hit 1 of them, and he leads off here in the bottom of the 5th inning against Tommy Hansen. First pitch, right field. Jason Hayward, 1 away. Well, Fox Sports is proud to support Stand Up to Cancer and their work to fund groundbreaking research that helps accelerate treatment to patients. Stand up for someone you love. Visit standuptocancer.org/Fox Sports. to learn more. And all of us at Fox Sports are proud to support Stand Up to Cancer throughout this 2011 season. Good one here today with the Braves and Phillies tied at 1. Eric Karros will be heading out to the All-Star game on Tuesday night, joining the rest of our Fox crew. I know you're looking forward to it.
I am looking forward to it. But, you know, I'm getting to see 2 all-star pitchers today. I know Tommy Hansen hasn't been named to the team, but he should be on the team. And these 2 guys are throwing like all-stars. Unbelievable right now. We've got 2 runs, both on solo swings of the bat. You know, this game has been, everything is advertised up to this point. We talked about the dominant pitching, and this could be one of the best pitching matchups of the year so far. And so far, it's been everything we thought it would be.
Dominic Brown struck out his first time up. Now 1-2.
You know, this is a young man, Dominic Brown, up at the plate as he's facing Hansen, that Charlie Manuel really thinks is going to develop into a fine player. He just needs game experience. After starting the season on disabled, just finally getting into that groove. Having a nice month so far.
Seven-game hitting streak for Brown. Here's the payoff pitch from Hansen, and he fouls it off to the right side. Well, the Phillies without Victorino. Polanco not 100%. And Ken Rosenthal, I know you've looked into roster possibilities with regard to the Phillies due to some of the injuries, as Brown is called out on strikes.
Well, Eric said it, Kenny. Dominic Brown is someone that they're very high on. In fact, Charlie Manuel was the one who lobbied for his promotion. So if the Phillies go out and get the right-handed hitting outfielder that Manuel also wants, you have to wonder what happens to Dominic Brown. And the other thing with the Phillies, they are up, like the Braves, against their payroll limit. So they're going to have to be creative if they take more money on. I asked to talk to General Manager Ruben Amaro Jr. last night, and Ruben texted me back and said he won't be commenting until August.
It was nothing personal, Ken. Wants to chat with general managers only, I'm sure, prior to the trade deadline, as Valdez grounds out to Lugo, a 9-pitch fifth for Hansen. AT&T is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball across the country. And by Pepsi. Summertime is Pepsi time. Top of the 6th inning in Philadelphia. Each team with a run on 2 hits. Solo home runs hit by Cliff Lee and Dan Uggla. Lee in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Uggla in the top of the 5th. Top of the order for the Braves, Jordan Schaefer will lead off against Lee. Schaefer has grounded out twice, now 0 for his last 9. Fastball missing away. Now 2-0 on Schaefer. Schaefer, Gonzalez, and then McCann for the Braves here in the 6th inning. 2-1.
That's a tough one right there. 2-1 pitch is a hitter. Looking for something that you can go after, and the pitch looks like it's a couple inches off the plate. You're thinking, all right, well, at least I'm 3-1. Instead, 2-2.
Strikeout number 6 for Cliff Lee. Well, help make a baseball moment kids will never forget. Go to ChevyBaseball.com to support youth baseball. Plus, enter to win one of 4 trips to the 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game and the keys to a new Chevrolet. Well, last night, a moment Mike Trout will never forget. Grew up about 40 miles south of Philadelphia in Millville, New Jersey. Made his Major League debut at the age of 19 for the Los Angeles Angels.
I know they've been talking about him for quite a while, and quite a while. He's only 19, but he's been ready to go all year long. It's just really a matter of when.
First round pick by the Angels back in 2009. MVP of the Midwest League when he played single A ball last year. As the bat goes flying out of the hands of Gonzalez into the 10th row behind the 3rd base dugout.
I mean, Kenny, watch how much this ball just drops. I mean, it starts up around the Atlanta insignia on the uniform and drops around the ankles.
Fortunately, it does not look like anybody was injured in the stands. Gonzalez with new lumber.
Got to throw that again, don't you?
Valdez, 2 out. We're getting back to Mike Trout. As we mentioned, grew up about 40 miles from Philadelphia. His dad, Jeff, was a star at the University of Delaware, was drafted by the Minnesota Twins, and played in the Twins minor league system for manager Charlie Manuel.
Yeah, Charlie Manuel talking about Trout's father. Could swing the bat. Wasn't real adept at catching the ball. Charlie was kidding. Well, actually, he wasn't kidding. I think he kidded Trout when he had him. But he said he could swing the bat. Had a lot of pop.
So Mike Trout starting in center field for the Angels last night. 0 for 3 in his major league debut against Seattle at the age of 19. He was born in August of 1991. Mike Trout was 4 when Derek Jeter made his major league debut during the '95 season. Jeter earlier today reaching 3,000 hits. He needed 2 heading into the game, finished with 5. Strike called on the inside corner. Now 1-2 on McCann.
Well, it's got to be a lot of fun up there at the plate right now. I mean, it's hard enough to hit Cliff Lee when there aren't any shadows, and now you mix in some shadows, you mix in his ability to move the ball over the plate, throw that breaking ball. Ugh. You know, I've heard Cliff Lee be described as a pitching machine that's real nasty. You know what I mean by that? It's coming over the plate, but it's, you know, one time it's low, it's over the plate, now it's up and in. I mean, it's amazing what he can do with a baseball and how he just goes right after hitters. Bird having a little early dinner. Part of the field crew.
Behind first base umpire Chris Guccione. 2-2 to McCann, called strike 3. 7th strikeout for Cliff Lee. Middle of the 6th, still tied at 1. Lead off for the Phillies here in the bottom of the 6th inning. We will take a look back at his entire 10-pitch at bat back in the bottom of the 3rd against Hansen. Left side of the screen, 3rd inning, right side, live action. On pitch number 10 of the at-bat, first career home run for Cliff Lee. That home run is 9th hit this season. Lee now 9 for 40. And in case you were wondering, the last pitcher in the major leagues to hit 2 home runs in one game, Michael Owings of Arizona, did it back in 2007 against the Atlanta Braves. Two and two.
Mike Owens, he could hit. They'd use him as a pinch hitter sometimes. Even run him out there at first every once in a while.
Not this time, says Tommy Hansen. Strikeout number 4 for Hansen, as Lee receives applause from the home fans as he heads back to the Phillies dugout. So with one away, here's Jimmy Rollins. The 3-time All-Star, 0 for 2 today. And he takes the fastball, strike 1.
And we've been talking a lot about Cliff Lee today, but Tommy Hansen has been unbelievable. Really a mistake to a pitcher. Probably more of a case of running into a pitch than actually hitting the pitch. A home run, but he has just stifled this Philadelphia ball.
Hansen has won each of his last 5 starts. He's led only 8 earned runs in his last 37 innings pitched. This is 3rd start since coming off the disabled list. Two, and Rollins is down on strikes. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th inning. Our game summary: terrific pitchers duel, and Cliff Lee provided the offense for the Phillies as well with his first career home run, and then he was taken deep by Dan Uggla in the 5th inning.
Yeah, really only 2 bad pitches combined in the entire ball game, and those bad pitches were cashed in for home runs. I mean, that's how dominant these 2 pitchers have been. So Tommy Hansen really settled down at 2nd and 3rd inning, had some elevated pitch counts. But
since the Cliff Lee home run, Hansen has retired 10 in a row. Lee retired 11 straight earlier. Mayberry 0 for 2 today. And Hansen won 11 games his rookie year, 10 wins last year. He's already won 10 this year. He's one of only 5 active pitchers to win at least 10 games in each of his first 3 seasons. Here's a base hitter to the left field corner off the bat of John Mayberry Jr. He is in at second with a stand-up double. Only the 3rd base hit for the Phillies today after Hansen had retired 10 in a row.
Mayberry does a nice job of staying on this pitch. It's a bat hit out in front. Really outside of the Cliff Lee ball. It's one of the few good swings, hard hit balls that Tommy Hansen has given up. You know, usually you'll see a hard hit foul ball or a line out or a one hopper to a guy, but we just haven't seen either one of these clubs be able to square up these pitchers today.
And for Mayberry, it's his 43rd career hit in the major leagues. 20 of the 43 have gone for extra bases. So with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position, here's Chase Utley, who has grounded out to the first baseman Freeman twice today. Aside from the home runs hit by Lee and Uggla, this is the first time that a runner has been past first base today. The view from the blimp, 45,637 on hand. 171st consecutive sellout. Phillies lead the major leagues in home attendance.
You see Hansen going out of the zone right there. Got Uggla 1-2. This is a great time to throw the curveball. And I say that you've got the shadows. Haven't seen these guys on either team be able to pick up the off speed well. Like I said, you see those shadows. Very difficult as a hitter to recognize the spin.
You know from experience, here's the 1-2. Hansen missing high and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Shoot, I had trouble hitting the off speed when there weren't any shadows. But it is when you're up at the plate, it's almost like you have to guess. You have to guess right. Used to drive me nuts. I'd be out in the field and guys are throwing fastballs when there's shadows, and I'm thinking, just throw the off speed, throw the curve. Can't see it up there.
Nice block by McCann. Would you give that advice to your pitchers between innings?
I'd give it to him in between pitches. I'd yell at him from first base. And I'd tell him, you know, but I think one of the things that makes Cliff Lee successful is he doesn't give the hitters so much credit. He goes right after them. I think pitchers give hitters way too much credit. People don't realize how difficult it is to get in that box and hit major league pitching. See, I'm throwing an off-speed pitch, probably off the plate somewhere.
Here comes payoff pitch. Missing away. Ball 4. So the Phillies down with runners on first and second with 2 outs.
And see, that's okay. He went off speed. He went off the plate there. And the reason you do that, you say, look, at a guy like Chase Utley, he's more of a base hit guy, put the bat on the ball. It's okay. You put him down at first base. You start new with Ryan Howard. Well, Ryan Howard, very prone to the strikeout. 96 of them coming into today's game. And you make a mistake, could be 3 runs, but you can pitch to Ryan Howard.
Howard 0 for 2 today. 2 for 14 lifetime against Hansen. The first time Ryan Howard faced Tommy Hansen back in August of 2009. He took Hansen to deep left field, a solo home run. But since then, just 1 hit in his last 13 at-bats against Hansen with 7 strikeouts. Two on, 2 out. Mayberry the runner on second. Utley over at first. 1 ball, 2 strike count with Ryan Howard at the plate.
Again, this is where you expand the hitter's zone right now. You're ahead in the count. Throw something off the plate.
Howard down on strikes. 6 strikeout for Hansen. Phillies ran 2 in the inning. Dan Uggla with a solo home run back in the 5th, 2 out second. After these messages from your local Fox station. Baseball presented by AT&T. Rethink possible. We head to the 7th inning here in Philadelphia with the Phillies and Braves tied at 1. Middle of the order for the Braves. Freddie Freeman will lead off, followed by Dan Uggla, then Jason Hayward. Against Cliff Lee, who hit his first major league home run back in the 3rd inning, giving the Phillies a 1-0 lead. Dan Uggla, solo shot off Lee in the 5th. Lee lost his previous 2 starts against the Braves this season. In fact, back on May 6th here in Philadelphia, 5-0 loss. He struck out 16 in that loss, a career high. Today, only 1 earned run over the first 6 innings. Utley charging, and he scoops it with his glove to get the out at first.
Chase Utley making a nice play. Freeman gets out of the box well. Watch Chase. That's pretty far away, but if you're an all-star second baseman, one of the best in the game, you can go ahead and do that. If you're a little leaguer at home, don't try it.
That's outside.
They teach that scoop play at UCLA.
I think he honed that skill after he was comfortably cemented in the second base job here in Philly.
UCLA, of course, the alma mater of both Chase Utley and Eric Karros.
Yeah, Chase had a wonderful career there.
Had some big shoes to fill.
Out of Long Beach Poly. Same place that produced Tony Gwynn.
Dan Uggla hit his 15th of the season earlier. More home runs than any other second baseman in all of baseball over the last 5 seasons. We take you back to the 5th inning. Third home run the last 5 games for Uggla.
So he gets you off speed 3-1. So as a hitter, you're thinking, hey, he just threw it off speed 3-1. I got to believe Cliff Lee is going to throw some sort of wrinkle right here. 3-2. Doesn't want to let Uggla run into a fastball.
Payoff pitch, right field, Dominic Brown.
Went after him at the fastball there. Location pretty darn good, though. That's the thing with a guy like Cliff Lee. It's just tough to guess with him because he's so comfortable throwing any pitch in any count. You know, as a hitter, you can usually eliminate a pitch or 2 depending on the count. Those pitchers that really give you trouble are those ones you just don't seem to guess right against.
Here's Jason Hayward. Fastball missing inside. Hayward 0 for 2. He's grounded out twice. Braves with 1 run, only 2 hits off Lee. And Alex Gonzalez single in the 1st inning. And the Dan Uggla home run in the 5th. The 1-1 to Hayward, fouled off to the right side. Now 1-2. Jason Hayward elected to start the All-Star game as a rookie last year, but did not play due to injury. Will not turn 22 for another month. Awaiting the 1-2 from Lee, who wants a new set of signs from Carlos Ruiz. Pitch number 84 from Cliff Lee today is inside, and the count is full.
They try to go with the big curveball. Probably in off the plate just a bit.
Payoff pitch to Hayward, foul back to the screen.
Comes right back with it. Again, with 2 outs, the ability to hit the ball out of the park. If I'm Hayward, I'm sitting on 1 pitch. I'm looking either a curve or a fastball. If he throws the other one, I'm not going to look real good, but I'm sitting on 1 trying to yank it out.
Instead, it's ball 4. Second walk issued by Lee today. Lee walked only 18 batters the entire season last year with Seattle and Texas. Already 29 walks this season. So a 2-out base runner for the Braves as Julio Lugo steps in. Lugo struck out in the 2nd, walked in the 5th. If you joined us late, Braves played Stripper Jones on the disabled list earlier today. Jones flew back to Atlanta, underwent surgery on his right knee, medial meniscus tear. Braves hope to have Martin Prado back on Friday. He's been rehabbing at AAA, coming back from his staph infection. One and one on Lugo. Hayward on at first. 2 outs, top of the 7th inning in a 1-1 game. Final Saturday prior to the All-Star break. 4 Braves selected for Tuesday's All-Star game. Brian McCann will start for the first time after going as a reserve 5 times. There's Eric O'Flaherty up in the Atlanta pen. Chipper Jones voted in by the players. Now on the DL. We spoke with Jair Jurgens earlier, a first-time All-Star. And Johnny Venters, a first-time All-Star as well, has had a terrific season out of the pen for the Braves. As Lugo pops it up. Long run for the second baseman. Utley makes the catch in foul territory. 7th inning stretch time in Philadelphia. AT&T is sponsored by Michelin, a better way forward. And by Burger King, now offering $1 frozen drinks. Middle of the 7th inning here in Philadelphia. Before yet another sellout crowd. Phillies offering fans the chance to have their photo taken with a spectacular 10 by 22 foot 3D work of art featuring this ballpark, the Philly Fanatic, and the Philadelphia skyline. The Phillies do a terrific job in the community and with their charitable efforts. In fact, they will host a food drive here tomorrow during the final game prior to the All-Star break. Phillies and Braves today tied at 1. Here's Raul Ibanez. First pitch, bottom of the 7th inning, and he singles into left field. Only the 4th hit of the game for the Phillies, and it comes from Ibanez, the hero last night, walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Ibanez gets a pitch off of the plate. Not sure that you're really going to go after that 0-0 count, but able to make contact and get down to first base.
So the leadoff man is on for the Phillies for the first time today. Carlos Ruiz 1 for 2. Fastball in for a called strike, 0-1.
You look now, the Philly hitters have a bit of a break. Aren't any shadows in between home plate and the pitcher's mound right now. Still got to face Tommy Hansen, which isn't a lot of fun, but at least he could see the ball.
And the 0-1-2 Ruiz pops it into left center. McLeod moving to his left, one away. Time now for a DirecTV game break. Pitchers duel here in Philadelphia. How about Aaron Harang of the Padres in Los Angeles? Bottom of the 4th inning, Matt Kemp strikes out. Next batter, James Loney strikes out. They are in the top of the 7th. Harang with a no-hitter through 6, and he has struck out 6.
They're having a nice job. The San Diego native doing a nice job with the Padres today.
No hitting the Dodgers through 6.
Dodgers aren't known for their offense, though.
So far today, Derek Jeter with his 3,000th hit. Cliff Lee with his first career home run. And now Aaron Harang no hitting the Dodgers through 6 innings. And the Fanatic on top of the dugout. Cheering on the Phillies.
Again, we talked about it at the top of the show. Phillies haven't had a lot of opportunities, but you can run against this tandem. Brian McCann behind the plate. Runners have had almost an 80% success rate. Hansen on the mound. Only caught 26.
A 2-1 to Brown. Hansen missing low and inside. Now 3-1.
I think I'm running right here. I'm going to send to Ibanez. Brown gets a fastball. Maybe he can hit something in the gap. And I did. Actually, I sent him. Charlie did.
Well, you gave the numbers on Hansen and McCann this season.
He's got to be running now. Has to be.
Bounce to third. Lugo to second. And Brown safe at first.
We see Lugo makes a nice play. Ibanez gets down there. Uggla hangs in. Even when Ibanez is bearing right down on it. Watch this. Good hard slide.
So with 2 away, here's Wilson Valdez. 0 for 2 today. George Sherrill in the Atlanta pen. Dominic Brown takes his lead off first with 2 outs. Ken Rosenthal down to the field. I know you've been all over Twitter today.
That's right, Kenny. And David Price, who gave up Derek Jeter's 3,000th hit, is not a happy man. He tweeted less than an hour ago, "I really hope I wake up in a few hours and this was all a bad dream. I still think it's a possibility. I'll pinch myself in a few minutes." Came back with that one, after that one, a little bit later and said, "Not going to lie, giving up number 3,000 stinks, but my mom is probably happy."
So Mrs. Price is happy. Hansen out of the inning. 1-1 through 7 here in Philly. Atlanta Braves, 1 run on 4 hits for the Philadelphia Phillies. Before yet another sellout crowd. Fans were here until midnight last night. Phillies won the game on the 10th inning walk-off by Ibanez. And another sellout crowd on hand today. And they saw Cliff Lee hit his first major league home run back in the 3rd inning. And then Dan Uggla took lead deep in the 5th. 1-1 ball game as Nate McLouth leads off for the Braves here in the 8th. McLeod 0 for 2. Brandon Hicks, recalled earlier today when the Braves placed Chipper Jones on the DL, has come out into the on-deck circle to bat for Tommy Hansen. There's Hicks. One to McLeod. Fastball in for strike 2. Broken back grounder to the first baseman Howard. And McLeod is retired. Time now for the Just for Men Keep Your Edge spotlight. Just as Cliff Lee and Tommy Hansen have given their teams the edge, you too can keep your edge with Just for Men mustache and beard.
Yeah, not a fun day if you're a hitter. You look at the numbers both of those guys have put up. 13 combined strikeouts, only 3 walks, 6 hits. Really one pitch to each team that, you know, how often you make a mistake and they're going to capitalize on it. And really those are the only bad pitches I've seen all day. And I'd argue that pitch that Hansen threw wasn't all that bad. It was up out of the zone. See Johnny Venners getting ready, and Freddie Gonzalez telling us before the game he was hoping to give Venners a day off. Obviously changed his mind.
Panthers lead the National League with 50 appearances so far this season over the Braves' first 90 games. Brandon Hicks pinch hitting for Tommy Hansen, 3rd round pick back in 2007 out of Texas A&M.
It's always nice sitting on the bench for about 7 innings and go grab a bat and go get yourself some Cliff Lee.
And here's the 1-2 from Lee. A called strike 3. So Hicks will head back into that dugout with his head down. Now 2 away. Hicks is here because Chipper Jones is not, and Ken Rosenthal has an update on Chipper.
Kenny, I just received a text message from Chipper's agent, B.B. Abbott. He said that Chipper's knee surgery went well, and the doctor said he had no idea how Chipper was even playing on that knee. He had a crack in his kneecap as well that was fused together, and the meniscus was a mess. But everything is cleaned up. The initial recovery time projected about 3 weeks. Still looks like it's going to be that way.
All right, thanks, Ken. And Eric, you were telling us before the game you underwent meniscus surgery, and you too had no idea how Chipper was able to play on it.
Well, it's just one of those things. It is aggravating. It's irritating. You're not comfortable. You know, once you get going, you can move around a little bit, but everything you do is a chore.
Oh, terrific play by Lee, but then a low throw. Schaefer on his way to second.
Well, Cliff Lee does a nice job of corralling the ball. There, just throws it a little bit too hard. Feels like he has to rush it. And that's always tough as a first baseman. When that ball's coming at you that hard, you don't have time to react. Cliff Lee upset right there.
So a hit for Schaefer, and then he advances to second on the throwing error committed by Lee. So the Braves with a runner in scoring position with 2 outs here in the top of the 8th inning.
I think right here too now you've got to be careful with what you do with Gonzalez. He's had success against Cliff Lee. Has a base hit today. You know, you just, it's almost like you want to pitch around him. You see Cliff Lee Done a nice job, 99 total pitches. Well, you've got the left-handed hitting Brian McCann up next, who you've struck out twice and had him pop up to the catcher. I don't think you give Gonzalez anything good to hit. You nibble, and if he gets himself out, great.
Gonzalez 1 for 3, single back in the first inning, and has grounded out twice. Top of the 8th here in Philadelphia, tied at 1. 0-2 on Gonzalez. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Top of the 8th inning. The 0-2 from Lee strikes out Alex Gonzalez. 9th strikeout for Lee. Schaefer stranded in scoring position. AT&T is sponsored by Viagra and by Gillette Fusion Pro Glide. Turn shaving into gliding and skeptics into believers. Aerial coverage today provided by DirecTV. To get the best offer of the year, call 1-800-DirecTV. Bottom of the 8th inning in a 1-1 game. All-star Johnny Venters out of the bullpen in relief of Tommy Hansen, who allowed 1 run on 4 hits in 7 innings. And he will face Ben Francisco, pinch hitting for Cliff Lee. Leading off for the Phillies here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Francisco 5 for 12 as a pinch hitter this season, batting .231 overall. It's the 51st appearance for Johnny Venters.
Ben Francisco starting the year in the outfield for the Philadelphia Phillies. Another product of UCLA.
Came to the Phillies with Cliff Lee back in July of 2009 from the Cleveland Indians. When we spoke with Freddie Gonzalez prior to the game, he told us he was going to try and not use Johnny Venters today.
Well, he tried. He tried to not use him, but he had to use him. You know, again, it all comes down to talking to Venters, and you know, he's going to take the ball.
He strikes out Ben Francisco for out number one. What a job this Braves bullpen has done this season. Lead all of baseball in earned run average, opponent average, and strikeouts, with Venters, Craig Kimbrell, and Eric O'Flaherty leading the way.
Yet two areas of concern: the amount of use the bullpen has had, and how is that going to figure late into the season, and also the youth in this bullpen. How is that lack of experience going to manifest itself when you're talking about August and Septembers and games that really mean something?
Now 1-1 on Rollins. For more on the Braves pen, we head downstairs to Ken.
Well, Eric hit it on the head. One of the concerns here is the amount of innings this bullpen has pitched, and one of the reasons for that is because the Braves play so many close games. Their offense isn't that explosive. 90 games this year for the Braves. 32, more than 1/3, have been decided by one run. 49 of those 90 games, that's more than half, have been decided by one or two. If that offense gets going in the second half, it'll go a long way toward easing the burden.
Jimmy Rollins grounds out to Julio Lugo. Thanks, Ken. And Eric, as you pointed out earlier, these teams play a lot of close games against one another.
Yeah, they really do. We talked about the last 4 games have been decided by a total of 5 runs. This game has all the makings of fitting right into that. You know, you look at Cliff Lee doing a nice job coming out, throwing strikes, moving the ball around, pitch efficient. You know, what's interesting is how this Phillies ball club has basically changed its emphasis from a few years ago to banging the ball all over the park to pitching and defense.
Adding a Halladay, a Lee, and Oswalt to a rotation that had been led by Cole Hamels. Hamels having an outstanding season this year. First time in Phillies history they will send 3 pitchers to the All-Star game. Now 2-1 on Mayberry, who is 1 for 3, doubled his last time up. Both starting pitchers allowing only 1 run on solo home runs. Cliff Lee for the Phils, Dan Uggla for the Braves. Mayberry grounds out to the shortstop, Gonzalez. So we head to the 9th here in Philadelphia. Still deadlocked at 1. Braves and Phillies tied at 1 as we head to the 9th. Antonio Bastardo has been tremendous out of the Phillies pen this season. He's allowed only 3 earned runs in 32 innings. Record of 3-0 with 5 saves. Bastardo on in relief with Cliff Lee, who allowed a run on 3 hits through 8 innings, and he will face the heart of the Braves order, McCann, Freeman, and Uggla here in the 9th.
Well, he's really been effective. You look at talking about being effective. Cliff Lee right there, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. 1 bad pitch to Dan Uggla.
So here's McCann to lead off. 0 for 3 today. Bounce foul to the right side. McCann will start at catcher for the National League in the All-Star game on Tuesday night. Out in Phoenix, he was the MVP last year in Anaheim. First Braves All-Star MVP since Fred McGriff back in '94. Phillies have not had an All-Star game most valuable player since 1964. Johnny Callison at Shea Stadium following his game-winning walk-off home run. Bastardo, terrific with the injuries to Lidge and Madsen. Phillies were not sure what they had in Bastardo, and he has exceeded all expectations so far.
Well, I think they knew they had the arm. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's been up and down the last few years. But he's finally been given a consistent role. He's got an electric arm. And now he's got confidence.
Two and two on McCann, leading off for the Braves here in the top of the 9th inning. Braves scored their run on the 5th. Dan Uggla's team leading 15th home run of the season. After Cliff Lee homered for the Phillies in the 3rd. The 2-2 from Bastardo. Bounce foul to the right side. McCann, Freeman, and Uggla for the Braves here in the 9th. Phillies will have Utley, Howard, and Ibanez due up in the bottom of the 9th. They went 10 innings last night. Ibanez with the walk-off home run off Scott Proctor in the bottom of the 10th. Bastardo just missing away, full count.
Take a look at this pitch. That's off the plate. That's off the plate by a good 7 or 8 inches.
Payoff pitch to McCann, and he fouls it off back behind first.
Not much of a swing right there. One of those situations where as a hitter, I think McCann made up his mind before the pitch was even coming. I'm gambling this guy's going to throw a strike, and let's see what I can do with it.
On the ground to the second baseman, Utley, for out number 1. Well, 15 years ago today, July 9th, 1996, across the street at the Old Vet, Mike Piazza grew up here in the Philadelphia area. 2 for 3, solo home run, RBI double. So Charles Nagy deep in the 2nd inning. There's Mike with the Commissioner Bud Selig. Piazza, the MVP 15 years ago today here in Philadelphia. The 2011 All-Star game this Tuesday night from Phoenix on Fox, beginning at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. This one counts. Freddie Freeman, 0-1. It will count for the 9th time. Winning league, of course, will receive home field advantage in the World Series. Now 0-2 on Freeman, and When you look back at how important home field is, if you take games 1 and 2 of the World Series since 2003 under this format, as Freeman strikes out, the home teams, the teams with home field advantage, are 12 and 4 in those first 2 World Series games.
Yeah, I don't think there's any argument that you can get 4 games at home, you're going to have an advantage. You're not going to necessarily win, but I think looking at last year, San Francisco definitely had an advantage with their home fans. New York a few years ago.
Well, the team with home field advantage has won 5 of the 8 World Series under this format. Here's Dan Uggla, who homered back in the 5th. Ironically, the World Series has not gone to a 7th game since 2003, since this format was introduced.
Bastardo just absolutely dealing right now. And you saw Brian McCann swing at 2-3-2 pitches that weren't even strikes. Watch Freddie Freeman swing at a couple pitches that were not even strikes. That just tells you how good Bastardo is, how difficult he is to hit.
Bastardo missing inside with the fastball, now 2-1. Uggla 1 for 3 today. 15th home run of the season back in the 5th inning. Tied the game at 1. From Bastardo, and it's popped foul. Back behind the Phillies dugout, now 2-2.
I'm thinking that slider down low in the dirt's coming right now. So far, Braves hitters have been unable to lay off of it.
Called strike 3. Uggla can't believe it. Utley, Howard, Ibanez in the bottom of the 9th for the Phils. Baseball presented by AT&T. Rethink possible. Back in Philadelphia, Kenny Albert, Eric Karros, Ken Rosenthal. Phillies and Braves tied at 1. Bottom of the 9th inning. As we take one more look at the last pitch in the top half. Dan Uggla not happy with the home plate umpire, Mike Everett.
Not a bad pitch. Not a pitch that you want to have to swing at if you're a hitter, but if you're out on the mound, you want that pitch.
And Mike Everett was watching as Uggla threw his equipment, but Uggla remains in the game. Eric O'Flaherty pitched the 7th last night, his 15th straight scoreless appearance. On to face Chase Utley leading off for the Phillies. In a tie game, bottom of the 9th. Utley 0 for 2 with a walk. 45th appearance for O'Flaherty this season. Check out his earned run average. On the ground to the right side. Backhanded, taken to the bag by Freeman for out number 1. So with 1 away, here's Ryan Howard. 2 for 10 lifetime against the left-hander Eric O'Flaherty. Tommy Hansen, the Braves starter, went 7. Johnny Venters, a 1-2-3 8th. And now it's O'Flaherty pitching here in the 9th, Ken Rosenthal.
Big edge in this series for the Braves, all these lefties in the bullpen. The Phillies are 14th in the National League in combined on-base percentage against, on-base slugging percentage against lefties. No homers for Howard against the lefty this season.
All 18 of Howard's home runs have come against right-handed pitchers. O'Flaherty on the mound now. Venters heading to the All-Star game, and Craig Kimbrell setting a new rookie record with 27 saves prior to the All-Star break. Howard strikes out on 3 pitches. So with 2 outs, an opportunity for last night's Phillies hero, Raul Ibanez. Took Scott Proctor deep. Bottom of the 10th inning. The walk-off home run as the clock struck midnight here in Philadelphia.
Well, Charlie Manuel got the matchup he wanted, righty versus lefty. Fortunately, right now, the Braves still have left-handers in the pen. Flaherty out there going against Ibanez.
Ibanez 1 for 5 lifetime against O'Flaherty. Fastball missing inside, 1-1. Ibanez 1 for 3 today, singled his last time up. There's Cliff Lee, today's Phillies starter. Only 7 hits combined in the game. We are tied at 1. Foul back to the screen, now 1-2 on Ibanez. Mike Everett says foul ball, so Ibanez with another opportunity.
Cliff Lee still hanging around watching this thing. You always like to see that as a position player. Your starting pitcher hangs out the entire game, doesn't go into the clubhouse, ice and get dressed and stand around there waiting for you.
No decision for both starters today. Tommy Hansen had won his last 5 starts. Cliff Lee will head to the All-Star game with a record of 9-6 over his first 19 starts. Lee provided the offense for the Phillies today with his first major league home run back in the 3rd inning. That will not make the highlight reel. To Ibanez, and O'Flaherty just misses away. Full count with Carlos Ruiz waiting on deck. Payoff pitch to Ibanez, another foul.
Well, one thing you could say, Ibanez is not getting cheated. It's lefty versus lefty, but he's getting his cuts up there. Able to lay off some pitches, fighting off some other pitches. He's not getting cheated on those swings.
This will be pitch number 9 of this at bat from O'Flaherty. Right field, but this one will stay in the ballpark. Hayward under it. Extra innings here in Philadelphia. Phillies and Braves tied at 1. Phillies 4-5 in extra innings this season. Braves 9-8, tied for the most extra inning wins in all of baseball. How about 32-year-old left-hander Juan Perez? Struck out 3 Braves on 9 pitches in the top of the 10th in last night's game.
Yeah, and some of those pitches were out of the zone, but the Atlanta Brave hitters, they just did not pick up the rotation, didn't pick up Perez very well.
Perez picked up his first major league win last night as he faces Jason Hayward leading off here in the 10th. Perez pitched in 24 games for the Pirates in 2006 and 2007. Spent last year in the Dodgers system. In Major League Baseball history, the only other time that happened in an extra inning, striking out 3 batters on 9 pitches before last night, was back in August of 1923 by Hollis Thurston of the White Sox against the Athletics. The 1-2 to Hayward. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes. So Perez will not strike out 3 Braves on 9 pitches this inning. But he does strike out Hayward on 5 pitches. Well, once again, Phillies and Braves battling for the National League East. Take you back to 93 when the Phillies won the East. 94, of course, the strike season. Only the 2006 Mets were able to break into this tie.
Now, you just look at the dominance of these 2 organizations, especially the Braves. Look at today. You see Philadelphia ahead, 4 in the loss column, 3.5 games up over Atlanta. I think coming into the series, while neither club both acknowledge that, look, it's going to be a fun series. You find out where you match up. The one concern, though, neither team wanted to be swept.
We go 1 around, now 1-2.
You look at the swings that these Braves hitters are taking against Perez. I mean, these are pitches that are out of the zone. They're not strikes, yet they're still offering. That just shows you how difficult it is to pick up a guy like Perez. He might be better off just standing up there and seeing if he'll throw 4 balls before he throws 3 strikes.
On the ground to the first baseman, Ryan Howard, for out number 2. Time now for a DirecTV game break. Dodgers and the Padres. Bottom of the 8th, scoreless game. 2 on, 2 out. Andre Ethier at the plate. And he grounds out to end the inning. Aaron Harang out of the game, but the Dodgers still without a hit. Going into the 9th. Dodgers and Padres scoreless.
Both of those teams not known for their offense. Pretty decent pitching. That's what we've got out here, though. A 1-1 ball game. Not a lot of offense. Only 7 hits. Both runs on home runs.
McLeod takes ball 1. Phillies will have Ruiz, Brown, and Valdez due up in the bottom of the 10th inning. 2 outs in the top half, tied at 1. Now 2-2 on McLeod.
That is just filthy. You see Craig Kimbrell and George Shell warming up in the Braves bullpen.
Two strikeouts in the inning for Perez, who retires the Braves in order in the top of the 10th inning. Kenny Albert, Eric Karros, Ken Rosenthal. Phillies and Braves tied at 1. Fourth pitcher of the game for Atlanta, the veteran left-hander George Sherrill, making his 36th appearance. Johnny Venters retired the Phillies in order in the 8th. Eric O'Flaherty did the same in the 9th. Now Sherrill to face Carlos Ruiz, who takes a called strike. Ruiz singled back in the 2nd inning and has flied out twice. Ruiz 1 for 3.
Well, Marty Aronoff just gave me a note that 4 relievers in this game so far are perfect. Venters and O'Flaherty for the Braves retired all 6 with 2 strikeouts. Castardo and Perez, they retired all 6. They had 4 strikeouts.
12 up, 12 down against the relief pitchers. Starters were pretty good as well.
Yeah, they were all right, weren't they? I mean, the starting pitching so far in this series. Beachy the other night for Atlanta and Hansen gave up 3 runs in 13 innings. Philadelphia, Halladay and Lee, 3 runs in 15 innings.
Cole Hamels and Derek Lowe tomorrow in the series finale. And then the All-Star break. The 82nd All-Star game Tuesday night right here on Fox. There's Derek Lowe, tomorrow's Atlanta starter. 2-2 on Ruiz, with Dominic Brown waiting on deck. Roy Halladay heading to the All-Star game, started last night. Two from Sherrill, on the ground to the shortstop, Gonzalez. With 1 away, here's Dominic Brown. Struck out twice, grounded into a fielder's choice. 7-game hitting streak in jeopardy. Brown takes a called strike from Sherrill, 0-1.
See Derek Lowe and David Ross right there.
Ross the backup to catcher Brian McCann. Terrific tandem. George Sherrill, an all-star back in 2008. Here's the 2-2, and Brown is down on strikes, make it 14 in a row, retired by the 2 bullpens.
Sherrill continuing that dominance of the relievers.
So now Wilson Valdez. This game goes another couple of hours. He may have to pitch again.
Yes. Remember him coming in. Ended up getting the win. Was it something like the last guy to position player to start a game and get the win since Babe Ruth?
You got it. Back in 1921. Valdez with a base hit to end that string. First base runner against a relief pitcher on either side today. So the Phillies have a 2-out base runner in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Dan Uggla doing everything he can to get to the ball. But just unable to field it clean. I don't think even if he gets it into his bare hand, he's able to throw out Valdez.
So with Valdez on at first, Michael Martinez will pinch hit for Juan Perez. Martinez, a 28-year-old switch hitter. Spent the last 6 seasons in the Washington National system.
Well, this is again a spot where I'm running. At some point, I've got to run. I've got to make Brian McCann throw me out.
Martinez 2 for 13 as a pinch hitter this season. First pitch from Sherrill, in for a called strike, 0-1. Valdez, the runner on first. 0-2 on Martinez. One-two from Sherrill. Base hit right field. Valdez heading for third. And the Phillies have runners on the corners. Back-to-back base hits. First Valdez, and then the pinch hitter Martinez.
Well, Freeman holding the bag, playing no doubles. This ball just shot to his right. Martinez doing a nice job. Well, here, all Jimmy Rollins trying to do is just get him in somehow. See Freeman playing behind the runner at first base. And this is where you've got to run. And the reason you have to run, you don't want the shortstop or second baseman to make a great play and be able to get the force at second base. Oh, you got to go. You know, Martinez at first just has to go.
He does not. 1-1 on Rollins.
I'm not sure I understand this one. You know, the minute Sherrill picks up his leg, just go. I mean, Freeman's not going to be able to catch the ball and throw to second from where he's standing.
Runners on the corners, 2 outs. 2-1. By the way, the Dodgers with a base hit. Juan Uribe with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. First Dodgers hit against San Diego. They are still scoreless. Valdez takes his lead off third as Rollins takes all 3. John Mayberry Jr. waiting on deck. Sherrill retired the first 2 Phillies here in the 10th. Then Valdez, an infield single. Martinez, a pinch single to right. The 3-1 to Rollins, in for strike 2, full count. A walk-off home run last night for Ibanez. Now the payoff pitch is inside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. A visit to the mound from the former Philly, Braves pitching coach Roger McDowell.
I think what he's going to do, because Mayberry is a young hitter, just remind George Sherrill the scouting report, how to go after him. You know, when you face a young hitter in this situation, you've got to use his aggressiveness against him. Maybe the first 2 pitches, try and get something out of the zone. See if Mayberry, you know, in the excitement of the moment, expands the zone, goes after something. Get ahead in the count. again, this is not a veteran hitter at the plate.
We take you back to opening day, April 1st against the Astros. John Mayberry Jr. with the pinch hit over the head of Michael Bourne in center. First walk-off win by the Phillies on opening day since 1974. Now it's Mayberry at the plate with the bases loaded at the bottom of the 10th inning. Dodgers, who did not have a hit until 2 outs in the 9th, defeat the Padres in Los Angeles 1-0.
Of course they did. Now McCann and Sherrill, they wanted that pitch right there. That's a big difference maker. 0-2 to 1-1 right now.
The 1-1 from Sherrill on the ground to the first baseman Freeman. The Phillies strand 3 in the bottom of the 10th. We head to the 11th, still tied at 1. To the 11th inning in a 1-1 game. Michael Stutes, the 4th Phillies pitcher, on a relief of Juan Perez. Stutes making his 3rd appearance of the season. And he will face a pinch hitter, Eric Hinsky. Will bat for the pitcher, George Sherrill.
Well, Stutes is the other part of this bullpen, along with Antonio Bastardo, a young guy that has really been able to make an impact, especially with all the injuries in that Philly bullpen.
Hinsky 7 hits in 27 pinch hit at bats this season. Hinsky, Philly fans will remember, faced Philadelphia in back-to-back World Series in 2008 as a member of the Tampa Bay Rays, and then 2009 with the Yankees. He also played in the 07 World Series with the Red Sox.
Well, he seems to be able to pick his teams, get to the World Series or get to the postseason.
Eric Hinsky and Don Baylor, the only players in baseball history to play in 3 straight World Series with 3 different clubs. 2-1 from Stutes. Missing high, now 3-1. From Stutes. Fouled off to the left side, full count. Hinsky takes ball 4. Leadoff man is on here in the 11th for the Braves. Only the 5th walk in this game. There have been 22 strikeouts.
Well, as we mentioned, I mean, the pitching has been absolutely outstanding. It started off with 2 great pitchers, Tommy Hansen and Cliff Lee. In the first 4 relievers, 2 of each ball club, threw perfect innings.
Hinsky back to the dugout, receiving congratulatory high fives for working out the walk as Wilkin Ramirez will pinch run. Jordan Schaefer steps in. He's 1 for 4 today. A bunt single back in the 8th inning and then moved to second on the Cliff Lee throwing error.
And you know he's bunting here.
Shane Victorino placed on the DL by the Phillies yesterday, still heading to Phoenix for the All-Star game. Schaefer lays down the bunt. So Jordan Schaefer does his job, moving Ramirez over to second on the sacrifice. Time now for another DirecTV game break. We take you to Dodger Stadium. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. Deanna Navarro drives in Juan Uribe. So after the Dodgers were no hit for 8 2/3, the last 2 Dodgers to bat in the game, Uribe and Navarro with base hits, and they defeat the Padres 1-0.
That's an offensive outburst for those Dodgers right now. 1 run. You know, that's one of the things. They just had all kinds of struggles this year. Got 3 representatives going to the All-Star game. Andre Ethier, Clayton Kershaw, best player in probably baseball right now, and Matt Kemp.
Gonzalez off the fists. And the basket catch attempt by Ryan Howard, but he's unable to hang on to it.
Running into the sun right there, I think he felt like he had a good beat on it. And ideally, you see his eyes are shaded. You know, the problem with making a catch at your waist, if it does bounce out, you really don't have an opportunity to make another stab at it. Where you're trying to catch it over your head and it pops out, you still have a shot.
In the dirt, nice block by Ruiz.
Yeah, you see that number? That was astounding. We just showed you both teams and what they've done with runners in scoring position. It wasn't so much the fact that neither team had a hit. It was the fact that there have been a total of 3 at-bats combined. 3 at-bats.
Incredible.
Today with runners in scoring position.
Both runs in the game coming on solo home runs. There's a base hit for Gonzalez. Ramirez stumbled. He's around third and will score the go-ahead run. Braves take a 2-1 lead here in the top of the 11th. RBI number 27 on the season for Alex Gonzalez.
Well, this ball up in the zone, and Alex Gonzalez is going to swing the bat. There's no question. And although his numbers haven't been that great this year, well, Freddie Gonzalez will tell you he's had a number of big hits. See Ryan Howard right there, unable to make that catch. giving a second life to Alex Gonzalez.
Hinske working out a leadoff walk as a pinch hitter. Moved to second on the Schaefer sacrifice. Then Howard unable to make the catch. The pinch runner Ramirez driven home by Gonzalez. Craig Kimbrell, 27 saves this season for the Braves. Brian McCann 0 for 4 today. Has not hit the ball out of the infield. Not many Braves did against Cliff Lee.
No, just not been a lot of offense. And the reality is there should just be a guy standing on second with 2 outs right now. Ryan Howard makes that catch. Instead, unable to get Alex Gonzalez, and he ends up getting a base hit.
Second hit in today's game for Gonzalez. He struck out 3 times last night. There's Cliff Lee, the Phillies starter today, allowed just the 1 run on 3 hits in 8 innings. McCann went around. Now 1-2.
Not one of your better offerings right there. Brian McCann not real happy with that. Just hadn't swung the bat real well today.
One-two from Stutz. Foul back to the screen by McCann. Terrific job by our entire crew today here in Philadelphia. Our producer Jeff Gowan, director Jim Lynch, associate director Eric Billigmeyer, associate producer Andy Kavanaugh, technical producer Sid Drexler, technical director Simon Panazra. Pre-game show produced by Don Bowie. Thanks to Marty Aronoff, Mark Seguro, Scott Ahrens as well. The 1-2, and this one is crushed foul down the right field line. Before the game, we watched as Derek Jeter picked up career hit number 3,000, 28th major leaguer to reach that plateau. Jeter wound up with 5 hits in the game. Then Cliff Lee hit his first major league home run in the 3rd inning. We were following that Dodgers-Padres game. Dodgers without a hit for 8 2/3. Win the game 1-0 on back-to-back singles by Juan Uribe and Deanna Navarro. And the Braves and Phillies battling in yet another 1-run game. Alex Gonzalez drove in the go-ahead run. He takes his lead off first with 1 out. Stutz steps off. Phillies will have Utley, Howard, and Ibanez due up in the bottom of the 11th inning. They were retired in order by Eric O'Flaherty in a 1-1 game in the 9th.
Well, Brian McCann getting some healthy cuts right here. Very important for this Philly ball club to just keep it at 1 run. As you mentioned, next inning, you've got Utley, Howard, and Ibanez coming to the plate. The core of this Philly offense.
Ibanez with a walk-off home run last night. And the Phillies 3-2 win in the series opener. 8th pitch of this at-bat from Stutz to McCann. And he drives it to deep right field. Brown looking up. And Brian McCann extends the Braves lead to 4-1 with his 15th home run of the season.
Not the best hitting catcher in baseball. Yes, I said in baseball, gets a hold of one right here. Constantly fighting off pitches and gives the Braves a 3-run cushion.
So McCann once again tied with Uggla for the team lead in home runs. Uggla went deep in the 5th inning, and now McCann in the 11th. Ball 1 to Freddie Freeman. So Cliff Lee homered earlier on the 10th pitch of an at-bat. And now McCann on the 8th pitch from Stutes. Freeman grounds out to the second baseman Utley for out number 2. And the Phillies, I'm sure, continue to think about how this inning might have played out had Ryan Howard made that play in foul territory on Alex Gonzalez.
Well, it does. It changes the whole complexion of the game, the way you go after hitters. It happens, though. I mean, it's
not an easy play.
It was not an easy play at all. At the sun, you're running away from the field. You know, Ryan Howard will tell you, I'm sure that he feels like he could have caught it. He got there in time. He felt like he had a beat on it. And he makes that catch. Unfortunately, this time he doesn't.
And it was ruled no play. No error charge to Howard. Uggla 1 for 4, solo home run back in the 5th inning. Braves have scored 3 runs here in the 11th off Michael Stutes. Alex Gonzalez drove in the go-ahead run, and then Brian McCann with a 2-run shot. 1-2 to Uggla, and he pops it up. It's Howard once again in foul territory, but no play as it hits off the top of the first base dugout. So the Braves with an opportunity to pull back to within 2.5 of the first place Phillies in the National League East. Series finale tomorrow. Looking ahead, these teams will play in Atlanta in the final series of the regular season as Uggla strikes out for the 3rd time today. We head to the bottom of the 11th. McCann and the Braves with a 3-run lead. Gonzalez with the big hit, and then McCann the 2-run shot. Best offer of the year. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. 3-run lead for the Atlanta Braves. Braves score 3 in the top of the 11th inning. And now Craig Kimbrell will try and close things out.
Well, Craig Kimbrell's done a great job this year. You mentioned already setting the rookie record for saves before the All-Star break. Electric stuff.
A rookie record 27 saves prior to the All-Star break. National League Rookie of the Month in June. Pitching with a 3-run lead, facing Chase Utley, who is 0 for 3 with a walk. Kimbrell leading all of baseball with his 27 saves. The previous record for a rookie prior to the All-Star break, Jonathan Papelbon with 26 saves for the Red Sox back in 2006. Braves bullpen, 3 scoreless innings from Venters, O'Flaherty, and Sherrill. Two and one on Utley with Ryan Howard waiting on deck.
Kimbrell doing a nice job. You know, the bottom line, you just got to throw strikes. You know, let them hit it all over the ballpark if they have to. You don't want to give them any free passes.
Two from Kimbrell. Shallow left field. Catch is made by McLeod for out number 1.
And that's a big out right there. You got to get that leadoff guy, especially with guys who can hit the ballpark following.
And how big was that McCann home run, giving the Braves a cushion?
Huge. You give him a cushion, you know, that way Kimbrell doesn't have to be so fine. He can go right after guys.
Howard 0 for 4, struck out twice. We go back to the top of the 11th. We've been discussing the non-catch by Howard. But how about the leadoff walk? Leadoff walk to Hinsky. We talk about it week after week. Walk the leadoff man. He usually comes around to score.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, you're talking about the walk. You talk about that big pinch hit as well.
Then Alex Gonzalez driving in the go-ahead run, followed by the Brian McCann 2-run home run, giving the Braves a 4-1 lead. Now the 1-2 to Howard. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, again, you don't have to trick Ryan Howard right now. Just go after him. He can't hit a grand slam right now, let alone a 3-run shot.
Two from Kimbrell. With the Braves employing the shift, Howard is retired. And the Phillies are down to their final out. Raul Ibanez, the hero last night with the walk-off home run at the bottom of the 10th. Comes up with the bases empty, 2 outs, bottom of the 11th inning, trailing by 3. There's Cliff Lee. Lee provided the offense for the Phillies with a solo home run back in the 3rd inning. First of his major league career. Gave the Phillies a 1-0 lead. There's strike 1 to Ibanez. Then Lee gave up a home run in the 5th to Dan Uggla, his 15th of the season, tied the game at 1. No more scoring until the top of the 11th. And the Braves scored 3 off Michael Stutes. 96-mile-per-hour fastball missing away. Now 1-1. Now the Phillies down to their final strike. Kimbrel, the 5th Braves pitcher, the starter Tommy Hansen, went 7, allowed just 1 run on 4 hits. Popped into left field. McLeod moving to his left. He's got it. Save number 28 for Kimbrel. Big smile on the face of Brian McCann. No decision for Cliff Lee. Braves even the series at 1. Sherrill the win, Stutes the loss, Kimbrel the save. Will return to Philadelphia right after these messages. Braves win it in 11.